taking on a team that went 8-0 on the road. It's never happened in NFL playoff history before that two teams had perfect seasons opposite of each other and then will meet each other there in the playoffs, which adds an interesting dynamic to it too. And as you said, averaging nearly 34.5 points a game during that 8-0 road season, the Cowboys definitely showed they could put some points on. You were talking about it there. What do you think? Can that Packers defense corral DeMarco Murray? Like I said, last time these teams played, it was 134 yards and a touchdown. So obviously they didn't the last time they played. What do you think? I think the weather, like you said, even though it's not going to be ice bowl, it's still going to be, they're talking 20 degrees pre-wind chill. With the wind chill, they're looking at about 10 or 11 degrees on the field to start the game. So that's still cold, smash-mouth football that's going to play right into Murray's style. Do you think the Pack defense can stop him?
I think that they can control him. I think they're going to keep him from really going crazy and having a huge day. Because this is, these teams, they've both really put up a lot of points, an average of 40 for the Packers at home and an average of 34 for the Cowboys on the road. But I think that the real the deciding factor, I think I should say, is going to be how well the Packers can run the ball and how they can control the clock. And they're going to, with Eddie Lacy. So, Lacy's had a very good year, and, that's, I think, they're going to try to take some pressure off of Aaron Rodgers and try to neutralize DeMarco Murray by getting Eddie Lacy rolling with the ball and keeping the ball on the ground again, especially in these kind of conditions. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of running the ball as well. So it should be a pretty big offensive shootout on both sides. And I think that, again, this is a close one where the Cowboys have a chance, but I think that the fact that the Packers do have a strong running game to take the pressure off of the injured Aaron Rodgers, I think the Packers are going to pull this one out, especially with a home field advantage.
I think the X factor to this whole thing is Tony Romo, as far as will Dallas be able to pull the upset or not, because Rodgers is going to do his thing. He'll be limited, but he's still going to do his thing. As you said, you've got the two beasts of a running back there that'll hopefully for each other balance each other out. So Romo is going to have to do, we talked about 8-0 for the Cowboys on the road. On the road this season, Tony Romo, league best passer rating, 121 plus, almost 122, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the road this season. But counter that with the bad side of Tony Romo in the playoffs. He's played 2 postseason road games, lost them both, a 60% completion percentage, but 8 sacks, definitely has had some rough outings on the road. It's only 2 games, but still, those are 2 different Tony Romos right there, the one that we've seen this year and in the past. I think the secret for Dallas is, does Tony Romo continue to erase his past and add on to the next chapter of what he's doing? Because if he does, then I think the Cowboys have enough with Murray and with Romo to finish the upset. But that'll be the key. If Tony Romo reverts to bad form, or if that defense can rattle him there, then that may be the X factor to put the Packers over the top.
That's right. It's going to be a close one. And, Romo has had the best season of his career, and that he's kind of, rewarded Jerry Jones with the big contract that he gave him, pretty much sticking with him through the thick and the thin, including lots of thin. But, he has to do it again in the playoffs. It's all, he exercised some of his demons, but now he's got to get rid of the big ones. And it's time for him to start, really living up to that contract by being a postseason hero. And it would be one of the biggest wins in recent memory for the Cowboys if they could knock off Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Green Bay. It's a tricky situation. I think the Packers are going to pull it out, but, I think Romo's got a really good chance considering how well he's done this year.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, by the way, you mentioned Eddie Lacy talking about what Murray did last time these teams played. Last time they played, Eddie Lacy, $141 with a touchdown on 21 carries. So both of these guys, last time they played each other, had over 130-plus yards and good yards per carry. So both running backs licking their chops. It's running back weather. The quarterbacks will probably have a bit to do with the story. This is another one like that like the Patriots game where I would say it's a toss-up. And a few days ago, I was much more leaning towards the pack. That's the thing, is as much as I want to pull the upset here, and I think the Cowboys can win this game, part of me says, man, why are you going to bet against the Packers in Lambeau in the playoffs, man? But something's got to give there. Something has got to give, man. If Aaron Rodgers is able to be Aaron Rodgers, the Packers are going to pull it off. If he's limited in any way, I think the Cowboys slip by either way. I see this being less than a field goal game in one direction or the other.
Yeah, so we got some really good matchups, some really, close ones. I think in this NFC, if you love defense, you'll love Saturday's game, and if you love offense, you'll love Sunday's game.
I still haven't picked anybody yet. I guess if I have, man, I'm going to make me do it here, man. Sorry, I gotta go with the home team, man. And see, I'm stupid because I just spent 20 minutes explaining why the Cowboys are going to win this game, and then I go, yeah, but the Packers are at home, man. And man, I don't know, man. Tony Romo implodes in the playoffs. He didn't do it last week. That doesn't mean he's not going to do it. They're going to have to prove something to me. I'm sorry. I'm going with the Packers, man. I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I think they find a way late to win it. I've just reversed myself in the middle of it. Anyways, all right. You know what? We're talking about these 4 good games. Let's hit the last one, which I said earlier this week I think is the least competitive, in my opinion, of the 4 games, and that's Denver and the Colts. I just think the Colts come up short in any measure of this game, and I think that Denver will have this one wrapped up by halftime, especially with that running attack. That's what's changed with Denver, is the emergence of that running game. You've got Hillman, and then Anderson comes on top of that, and I think that is the big pushing factor that's going to not only be a different Denver team in this game, and they're going to lay it out there, but in this run through the playoffs, that running attack makes Denver different than the Denver team that we saw last year go to the Super Bowl.
That's right, and it's really come at just the right time because Peyton Manning, despite the gaudy numbers that he's put up this year, he's kind of fallen off the last few weeks. He's just 3 touchdowns and 6 picks in his last 4 games, so he has not had a strong ending to the season at all. It's really piled up most of his good stats in the first 12 games. So, but the fact that he's got that running attack helping him out is really going to be good for him. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer because, I've been very impressed with what I've seen out of the Colts and, Andrew Luck, of course, trying to knock off one of the big guns. Of course, a lot of history with, Manning being the former longtime Colts quarterback. Luck has really, really impressed me, and it's going to be pretty much a matter of the young lion trying to overtake the old lion, from a quarterback standpoint. But you're right. I think that the Denver is giving Manning a lot better running support than Indianapolis. They've got Trent Richardson, we all know about him, and, Boone Herron, has done pretty well. He's been able to catch the ball out of his backfield, too, but he fumbled a couple times, and that really, in the last game, and that really gives some people pause. So it seems like the Broncos really have the running component working a lot better to go with their superstar quarterback.
So what do you think, man? I mean, and I'm with you. I love Andrew Luck. I tell people he was my fantasy quarterback this year. I got an appreciation for him throughout the season at the gaudy numbers that he puts up. But, man, I think Denver is humming on a different level, like I said. And there was nothing to short the Colts, but I just don't think that they are. I think Denver, like I said, is coming to make a statement here and get primed up for this championship game. We'll see, but I just don't think the Colts got it. I saw some things last week with them, man, where, yeah, they played well, but I see some things that I think Denver's going to take advantage of here. And like I said, with that running game, I just don't see it for the Colts. But we'll see. I know there's a lot of Colts fans. I hope I'm wrong. And I love Josh Cribbs, and I love Jackson and those guys. And I hope that the former Browns players enjoy a bunch of them, first time in the playoffs there. But I just don't think their second playoff appearance is going to come. Their third, I should say, is going to come this year. It's going to end at the second one. I think Denver's too much for them, man. Denver's going to get rolling early and lay on that running game in the second half and run it out, man. So, I don't know. What do you got? Final. You think Denver wins it, or do you think the Colts?
Yeah, I think Denver's going to do it because, you got to give Denver a lot of credit. Coming off that really terrible performance in the Super Bowl, they didn't really hang their heads. They went out and got some free agents to bolster that defense, and they really picked, the right guys. They picked 3 free agent defenders who all made the Pro Bowl. DeMarcus Ware, Aqib Talib, and P.J. Ward, of course. They have a total of 5 Pro Bowlers on the defense. So as much as we talk about Peyton Manning and all the weapons he has at his disposal, the Broncos defense has really been fantastic. And I think that's going to be the impetus that's going to possibly take them to, it could possibly even be a rematch with the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves, but I picked at the beginning of the year, I picked Denver to win it all, and I picked Seattle last year, so I got to stick with the Broncos all the way through. As much as I like Andrew Luck, and as tempted as I am to think that he's going to outshine Manning and possibly pull the upset, I think the Broncos have too much of a complete team. I think they're going to make it through this round.
I had the same with you. I had the Super Bowl rematch from the beginning of the season here, and you can see a lot of what you talked about. This is what the moves that Denver made in the offseason was to get them ready for this time of year here, and we'll begin to see. But they have definitely changed defensively there, and with the emergence of what they've got in the running game, I think that Denver was a good team last year that was not as good, obviously, as the team that they faced in the Super Bowl. But I think Denver did a good job. Now, we're speculating way too far ahead here because they've got to win several more games to get there. But I think Denver did as good a job of any team coming out of a Super Bowl, like looking to repeat like that and go back, of actually addressing what they needed to. That team came back stronger. Will it be strong enough? I don't know. But I think that Denver may have put just the right pieces into place to finish what they tried to start last year. And as we talked about, John McMullen brought it up the other day, you get Denver there, then all of a sudden you get the story and the news buzzing. You could think about the 2-week narrative of, is this the last chance, the last Super Bowl rematch if it happens? There could be a lot of dynamics at play, but I thought Denver really addressed the weaknesses of their team last year. It was almost a embarrassment of riches, the players that they added to that team in the offseason. And I think that this is what they came for. Let's see if they got themselves ready to finish it. But I think they can. And I'm with you. I had the Super Bowl rematch, except the reverse outcome on the finish, man. I think that Denver can get them, but that's way ahead because they've got to beat the Colts here first, and I think they do. So what are your 4 here coming out? You've got who coming out of this weekend?
I've actually got all 4 home teams. I was tempted to pick the Ravens, and I was tempted to pick the Colts for the upsets, but I think that the Patriots and Broncos are both going to make it through, and I'm a little more certain that the Packers and the Seahawks are going to make it through. So I actually have no upsets. I have all the 4 big dogs holding serve.
Yeah, I guess I do too. I was going to have the one upset there with Dallas, but now I talked myself out of it. So I don't know. Hey, guys, if I picked you, you got a 50-50 shot. Last weekend, I think I got both Saturday games wrong, both Sunday games right. So I don't know, man. We may be jinxing you guys here, but doesn't it seem, I don't know, maybe the 4 home teams will hold serve, but it almost seems like there's no way that happens because one of those road teams is going to have to do it. And if they do, if I had to pick I don't know, because it's a toss-up. Baltimore and Dallas has every bit of a reason to go do it too. I could see Baltimore winning that game more than I could see Dallas winning in Green Bay, but we'll see, man. DeMarco Murray has done his thing, man, and we'll see what happens with that Dallas game. Either way, I don't think you can be disappointed with any combination that may come out of this when you're looking at the potential Final Fours that may be coming out into this thing.
Right, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that if I had to pick one team that could pull the upset, it would be the Ravens. But yeah, I think we're going to be heading towards some real, big money matchups in the AFC and NFC championship games, which are just going to be next weekend. It's amazing how quickly it comes down to the end.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you got it. This is the last one with a full slate, I guess you could say, of games here before we start paring it down. Going to be a lot of fun, and then you and I will get back here next week. We'll do some Indians chat early in the week. We'll be looking ahead to a pair of championship games upcoming in the NFL. You and I got a lot of work to do next week, and I'm not going to talk to you on the air before then, so you got to pick for the national championship game, Bucks and Ducks. Who do you think wins that one Monday night?
I may sound like a homer here, but I think Ohio State is going to do it. I mean, I don't think people thought that they could beat Alabama, and, Oregon has, so much hype behind them, which is very well deserved. But, just the fact that Ohio State has been able to overcome adversity and make it this far when it seemed like they, at the beginning of the year, like disaster had struck right off the bat, to come all the way down to the end, to be on their third quarterback. And I just think that, the overall strength and athleticism of the entire Ohio